Today we're going to look at the import options for DWG files and the 2D to 3D tools with SOLIDWORKS. So we're going to start off by opening up our linkage DWG file. Now SOLIDWORKS gives us options to either create a new drawing or create a new part, and we have options for each of these. If we're going to look at importing into a new part, and we can bring in as a 2D sketch or a 3D sketch. We're going to opt for a 2D sketch so we can utilize the 2D to 3D tools. Now SOLIDWORKS is going to ask us what units we want to bring these in at. We also have the ability to add constraints or import dimensions. I will check the import dimensions. We don't need the constraints for what we're looking for. Now we can bring in all layers or selected layers. By bringing in selected layers, it limits the amount of data that's being brought in. I do suggest a quick toggle on and off of the different layers to see which ones you want to bring in. If a layer that you turn off takes away an object that you want to keep, obviously we turn that one back on. And so we'll keep a few of these here, get rid of most of them as long as we are seeing that we aren't getting rid of something we want. The reason we toggle these is that sometimes the 2D users put items on the wrong layers, and we want to make sure that that wasn't the case. You could see here with things like our object layer, it doesn't take away all of our views. If we turn off the dimension layer, it does turn off one of our views. So that's what we talk about with items being on the wrong layers. We have what we need here to get going. We'll go ahead and say next to this. SOLIDWORKS gives us the option to merge points. We can specify a distance for that. The reason we merge the points is O-snaps inside of a lot of our 2D tools are not always accurate, and we'll see some more examples of that when we utilize our 2D to 3D tools. We have some other options here for merging entities and repairing our sketch. We're going to go ahead and go with the defaults here and finish this up. Now SOLIDWORKS will ask us here what it wants us to do with blocks that it finds inside the drawing. We're going to go ahead and enable the explode block option. That way everything becomes individual entities versus blocks of entities. Now when we come into our SOLIDWORKS part file here, you notice we have a 2D to 3D toolbar that comes up here. This gives us the ability to assign entities to a specific view, either create a sketch, repair a sketch, align a sketch, or create bosses or extrudes. First thing that we're going to start off doing is we're going to pick an entity or a point that we want to align to our origin. We all know that a lot of times with our 2D tools, our origin is in the corner of our paper that we're working off of. So I'm going to hit that corner, hit align sketch, and then just a quick zoom to fit to line us back up. And we can see we're lined up with our origin now. We'll go ahead and select the entities that we want to assign to our front view. That's the first one we have here. Once we assign items to our front view, our other view selections become active. We'll go ahead and select items for the top view, and you can see that the entities wrap around. And we'll take a look at this in an isometric view in just a minute. Now we want to assign these, make sure we get them to the correct view, and that's our left sketch or our left view. Now once this is all done, we can see that if we switch over to our top view here, our entities are in place, but they're not quite aligned. Same thing when we switch over to our left side view. So what we'll do here, we'll just kind of swing this into a little bit of an ISO state here. We'll zoom in to make it a little bit clearer. And what we want to do is we want to align these entities. Or align these views. I'm going to grab the top edge here of R1, top edge of our other, and we're going to use that same align sketch tool. And you'll see the items or all the entities in the view move around there. We're going to grab those two there, and we'll tell those to align sketch as well. Now when we go back, starting off looking at our front view here, switching quickly to our top, and then back to our left side view, we can see everything is lined up, and it gives us a good start for where we want to go with this. Now we want to go ahead and start extruding our items out. We're going to quickly switch this over to millimeters real quick. Now a trick I like to use when using the 2D to 3D tools is I right click on an entity and tell it to select the chain. That way I can confirm that all these items are grouped together and there's no gaps or stops in the geometry that was created. And we're going to go ahead and tell this to convert to an extrusion. Now SOLIDWORKS allows us to pick in the depth icon here and pick a point for it to extrude our depth to. Now when we talked about our O-snaps not being 100% accurate before, we can see here that after about the 6th decimal place, it starts to trail off. Obviously not many people hold out to the 6th decimal place, but it gives us an idea of some of the inaccuracies of 2D tools that are out there. So we'll go ahead and say OK to this. Now we want to cut away some geometry, so we're going to use our right click, select chain, and we'll do a couple of these in order to get the geometry that we're looking for. Now I'm going to tell it to convert this to a cut. We obviously want to go through all of the material, but this is the main shape of our item here, so we're just going to use our flip side to sketch inside of SOLIDWORKS. Cuts everything outside of the geometry versus everything inside of the geometry, if you're not familiar with that option. Go ahead and say OK. So we can see we're starting to shape up here and have a part that is looking like our 2D views had shown us here. Now the last thing that we want to create here with this part is our rib. So once again, I'm going to use my select chain to grab a couple different sets of geometry here. And I'm also going to control select. So I just hold down control, do the same thing when I'm picking my multiple chains. Now that I got everything selected that I want, I'm going to tell this to go ahead and convert to an extrusion. Now you can see that what that does for us is it allows our extrusion to actually start at a different plane or a different level there. So we'll go ahead and use our depth once again, pick our entity, and we can see once again after about the 6th or 7th decimal place we trail off and have a little bit off in our dimension. We'll just go ahead and accept it the way it is, and that builds our part for us. So if we take a look at our different views here, top view, we can see how everything lines up. Switch over to our left side view, everything's good. We'll go ahead and drop into an isometric view. We'll hide the original sketches that we aren't using anymore, just a quick shift select and hide. Those are out of our view, and now we're left with a part that we can go ahead and manipulate and make any changes to inside of SOLIDWORKS.